you started to hear rumbling Sunday morning. It was what was going down, and you still thought about the money piece, but after a while, you're like, all right, $7.5 million to Nebraska is not enough, not a lot of money, and they move forward with things. And I felt like even that day, the Shenander decision may have already been made by Mickey, but it would have been too much to do,
too quick,
yeah. And you needed this bye week. Because I did ask Trev, did anybody else get relieved of their duties besides Coach Frost that day? And he said no. That will be a question for Mickey, though. He's in charge now. And I think I think the 642 was probably what got Shenander fired as much as the Oklahoma. I mean, the Oklahoma game. I look at that game. Both sides were guilty. I mean, the offense had 14 possessions, 12 in a row with no points.
Right.
And many of those were 1 to 3 minute possessions.
Sure.
And you heard Mickey say yesterday, he's like, yeah, we got to do a better job of holding the ball. It's slowing it down. You can't put this Nebraska defense on the field for 14 possessions now.
No. Right. I mean, that's any defense. I mean, college football is so much parity, and everybody has good athletes, because you got to think these kids that are even going to a Georgia Southern, even a North Dakota, or, you saw Southern Illinois beat Northwestern, and you see it almost every week. App State, the kids that are going to these colleges are still training like the kid. They're doing the same things that kids are going to Power 5, so they're coming in ready. And sometimes you face a team that's maybe seasoned, like a Georgia Southern, and so they know how to play. With an elite coach, with elite coach, and they know how to play, and he's going to play to their strengths.
I mean, Clay Helton, you got to give that guy credit. I mean, he won a Rose Bowl.
Listen, Clay Helton is a guy who I have a ton of respect for. One, coaching at USC through the turmoil that went, how he got the job and how he essentially was always on the hot seat. Then he won the Rose Bowl, and then continued to coach and actually fielded a decent team when he was relieved. But he didn't have to go to a Georgia Southern. No. He could have took a coordinator job multiple times. He'd been up for other places.
He had Cliff Kingsbury on his staff for about a week.
Yep. And then, but listen, but then he said, you know what? I'm gonna go back, and I'm gonna really show you guys what I can do. And it's a leap of faith for him to go down there. It's more risk for him, because you could go down there and you have one bad recruiting class, guys aren't eligible or whatever, and you're done, because they don't have the depth and numbers. And so, I think, we were talking before, and I want to ask AD this. I just felt like one of the things that's always really hurt Nebraska, and I really think this since Frank Solis was fired, and a little bit with Bo, but not as much, because I think Bo was real smart how he built his teams. He always had 1 or 2 bell cows on offense and 1 or 2 on defense. Now, when he was in the Big 12, it was DB heavy, so that was right up his alley. But he always had 2 guys, and he always kept 2 in the chamber too.
They could win with 4 up front. That was always the key with the Bo defense.
Right, but he always had a rusher, and then he had an eraser, whether it's a safety or Levante David. Now, he fell into Levante David. He takes credit for it, because he ain't start him. And I remember talking to Bo, and he's like, oh, he's swimming, he's making mistakes. I said, Bo, my man's making 16 tackles, man. Start just whatever defense is he messing up on, that's the defense you need to call.
Right.
Because Levante go get the ball. That's it. Ready, break.
Right.
But I think that since Frank is left, I think the missing piece has been, and some of it obviously with I-Course is the AD, and how he became AD it was like a day like today, and just like, oh, Nebraska has a new AD.
Yeah.
Is the inability to handle adversity and adjust like on the fly. You can see it in games, but you can see it also in administration.
Yeah.
So I want to know what you guys think about that, because I think sometimes if you can't do that from, say, like when we had I-Course, right, where there's a disconnection between the AD and the coach, then how can you adjust? Because you're supposed to be able to go to your superior, and then you leave somebody out there in the darkness. So tell me what you guys think about that.
This goes – I was just talking to Sean and both before the air. This has been a hard 2 weeks, man. I mean, and people who are not Nebraska fans just don't understand it. It's just a football. It was not just football to us. Nebraska football is the porch light of our state to the rest of the country. We have no other D1 team here. We have no pro teams in any other sport here. That's why we're so heavily invested in it. And, Jay, you bring up a good point. This goes all the way back to the unceremonious way that Coach Solis was let go. We have not recovered since. Of course, we had those glimmer years. Bo had those. Yeah, those Bo. And the thing about Bo rarely lost to a team in lesser talent. It was either teams he lost to were equal or better talent than we lost to. He didn't. We did peel one up with McNeese State that time, where Ramir had that long run. Yeah, but other than that, we didn't have a lot of hiccups. Jay, we're Nebraska right now, and we have them for a long time. We don't have an identity. We don't have an identity on either side of the ball. And it's regardless of who was in it, regardless of who the coaches were. I mean, we can go from Callahan. We can go from now Bowie, obviously at deep spot. Throw Bo out of it. Callahan had no identity other than we just air the ball out. But we were playing catch up half the game.
Yeah. You
So
get good stats. You get those are empty stats.
Yeah, those are empty stats. When
Chuck
people
and
say
duck.
against when KU hung 70 or something like that.
Well, but you got to remember that was the defense's fault.
Yeah.
The offense was Callahan always had good
Always had
offense.
a good offense.
Right.
And it was either one or the other. We couldn't just get them
Mesh.
all on the same page. Yeah, the
The
mesh.
mesh.
Well, and
Yeah.
Like you
Cosgrove
said.
had it figured out in 06 with Stu Bradley, Jay Moore,
Yes.
and Carricker. I mean, that was
Yes.
a good defense.
That was a great defense.
And then the next year, those guys were gone,
Right.
and you know they just didn't, they weren't built for it. And the Big 12 had that record year that year, and his scheme was not ready for the Big 12 07.
Right, but see, you're making my point right there. The ability to adjust to your talent
Right.
is a hidden gem with coaches. And here's
Yeah.
why. If you watch Alabama this year, against Texas, they struggled a little bit. And one of the biggest things that people don't understand is what really Nick Saban did two things. He went from a run heavy offense, just beat you up with multiple backs, and then he brought in Sark and Lane Kiffin to get a little bit of spread into it.
Right.
Didn't miss his principles, but he has the ability to do that. Then Sark and those other coaches brought in the vertical passing game. So now he can take his offense and his team anywhere. The thing that they're missing this year is somebody to take the top off. So now Nick Saban even said, if you kind of listen to him or listen between the coach speak, they're still trying to figure out how to be an explosive offense with a new personnel. That's why what I think is missing at Nebraska, whether it's offense, defense, you can say a little bit with special teams, but I think, like I said, you take Bo out of it. You can talk about Cosgrove. You can even talk about, on the flip side, with Callahan, if you know the defense is struggling, then your offense has to change.
Right.
And so I think the ability to adjust is going to be huge, and it's something that you have to embrace. It's almost like you go your main game plan in the left pocket, your backup in the right pocket, and the two back pockets you got emergency.
Little mixture of everything.
Yeah.
Sean, let me ask you this. We'll bring it back to 2 weeks ago. When did you get the call there was going to be a press conference?
Noon. I had about 30 minutes heads up before it actually came out. But you know, I knew.
Take us through that day, if you would.
Well, I went to church at 9:30, and
did you say a prayer for some of the coaches? Dear Lord, I hope
looked
they
at
make it
my
to Monday.
priest, Father Broviak, and I walked in and said, "It's going to be an interesting day, Father." And
did you say, "Hey, can I get a couple holy water so I can go sprinkle on some of these coaches because they need it?"
But then there was somebody I knew in there that was close to Frost at the same church service, and that person I saw leave early, and people don't usually leave early, and I'm like, huh.
Yeah, unless they got to go to the bathroom, unless it's an emergency.
Yeah. And I said, this is interesting because, and then, you know, I heard some things about a meeting and things happening, but it happened. Yeah. There's no easy way to do it.
Right.
I mean, and the way, how it all went down. And I think we were so caught up in that $7.5 million buyout change in October 1st. But, you know, I thought about it more. You know, Big Noon Kickoff was here last week. How could you, with a straight face, have rolled Scott Frost out there and say, go talk to Joel Klatt and Gus Johnson and Urban Meyer and Leinart and Bush and act like you're going to be
wrong.
Nothing's wrong. I mean, I just don't think that would have played out very well. And that's worth to me a lot more than $7.5 million to kind of turn the page and, you know, get in. Granted, the game didn't go very well for Nebraska.
But it changed the narrative.
Yeah.
It changed the narrative.
And if that would have been Scott Frost's game, you know, that would have been
all over him and the focus of that.
And the stadium would have been nasty.
Right.
Oh, it would have been ruthless.
So, hey, Sean, I always wanted to ask, so when things like this happen, you know, obviously with Frost or Shenander or even prior, like Mike Riley and all that stuff, are you like a doctor that's on call? You could be with your wife and kids. And
pretty much.
Yeah, you could be at the Lincoln Zoo. You're like, hey, honey, hey, Uber home.
So I went in the office like right away the last 2 Sundays, like go to church, go right in the office. And I'm the one that calls Sipple and Robin Washad. And I'm like, Sip, Frost is getting fired. Like, get down to the office now. And Sipple's like, what? We're hearing that. I go, just trust me, get down here right now, you know. And so,
Trust me.
you know, like those are the hardest days on this job, is like when you don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
And when you like when Mike Riley got fired on the day after Black Friday, like it's like, okay, like we're gonna get down there and we know he's gonna get fired.
That was coming.
Yeah. Bob
Diaco, Bill Callahan.
Yeah.
When I remember about Bill Callahan, they played on Friday in Colorado. It was like a 10 a.m. kick because of the mountain kick time out there. So
Mm-hmm.
we all flew back, and then I was back at Memorial Stadium like 6 or 7 in the morning, and Osborne fired him like at 7 in the morning, and he drove off, and then that was it. You know,
Good morning.
yeah, it was
a wrap.
We've been through too many of these things. I mean, like the Bo one, I always was told that Bo, when he went to meet with Eichhorst, they just won. You know, they went 9 wins. He didn't think he was going to get fired. He thought it was kind of like, hey, let's figure this out meeting. And then he's like, no, we're not figuring this out. I'm making a move on you right now.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's what really, I guess, quote unquote, set Bo off. Now, I will say this about that situation. I know when Bo wanted some support, it wasn't there from Eichhorst.
Yeah, he was going to get 2 recruiting staff hires.
Right. Yeah, or was supposed to. And then it kind of, he kept dangling it out there, pulling it back, dangling out there.
But you won't get to pick these hires.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So then, you know, it's kind of like I'm helping you, but I'm really hurting you at the same time. So, you know, I think right now, you know, I wanted to ask what your feeling is. You know, how does something like this affect recruiting? You know, moving forward, as Mickey said, they're operating as they're going to be here, and they're going to leave the place in a better place than they found it.
It's challenging with recruiting right now. You know, the coaches will go on the road this week. Now, you can't make in-home visits right now or anything like that. You know, the only time coaches can go in the living room is starting the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and you get about 2 or 3 weeks in December, and then about 2 weeks in January, where you can visit seniors in the home. And that's it.
That's it.
So like Dylan Raiola never could have been visited by Scott Frost, or, you know, like in the home, because of the recruiting rules that were out there. So like there, you know, like this right now, you'll go to these games and you could bump into a guy and say, hey, what's up, Jay? Good job, Jay. And that's what you're allowed to do. That's technically.
Or you can sit there and stare at him.
And yeah,
is he really 6'2"? What do you think, AD? He looks about 6'1.5". Sean, what do you think?
Meanwhile, this kid's going stranger danger. Who is this staring at me?
So they'll go out to a few games. I'm guessing Barrett or somebody's going to go out to watch that tight end from Ainsworth. He's a 2024. He's got like Wisconsin and Iowa and Nebraska.
He's a big kid.
He's playing in Chambers on Thursday. So I bet they'll have someone there. Pierce, Nebraska, they've not gone up and seen him yet. And then Mickey's going to go down to Louisiana and go see.
I think Monroe, New Orleans is where he's heading, right?
Yeah, Moreno plays Monroe. Or try to think. AJ Allen's high school plays O'Marion Miller's high school. So hopefully maybe he can run into some people with AJ Allen too, because you know we were talking about this. Like a guy like AJ Allen, he's played 4 great games. He's now hurt for the year. How many DMs do you think he's going to be getting?
Oh yeah.
I mean, well, I don't. I mean, depends on. Applewhite's still here. I think he's pretty good. I think that here's the thing that people don't understand, and this is what these young kids need to understand. If Mickey recruited you and you have a good relationship with Applewhite and Applewhite's here, you need to stay here. Yeah, you get the DMs, but you're still going to go somewhere else and have to compete
and start over
again. 4 games isn't nothing. That's tiddly poo. But he's played well enough to do it. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to kind of pump the brakes. It's always nice to be wanted, okay? But it's also better to be appreciated. And you want a relationship with the coach, and you're going to start over. And so, yeah, I'm sure, you know, people are going to try to, you know, poach off the roster. But that's why it's going to be so huge for these next 8 games, in my opinion. Well, you're going to get a good evaluation of Mickey if he can do the job long term. And you're going to get a good evaluation of the other coaches as well if there's a potential other head coach.
Right.
So there's 2 dates to watch here. Number 1, December 5th.
Right.
That's the first day the portal opens. That's opening day of deer hunting season.
Right.
You know,
it's called Sean, we renamed it the Vortex. It's like the Vortex off of Star Wars. You know, when you went into warp speed, that's it. You instantly go into warp speed into the unknown, and who knows if you come out the other end. I mean, that's what it is.
That day is going to be nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Twitter tweet updates and roster updates,
right?
But then you technically have 30 days from when your coach is fired to enter the portal. So Nebraska players
could enter the portal in a couple weeks.
Still have about 2 weeks to go in the portal if they want to. But what does it matter?
Yeah, right now. Yeah. But the 5th is when it opens up to everybody.
Yeah, and and then the other thing you got to wonder, how many guys at game 4 that have a red shirt could say, I'm going to red shirt now and sit out. Is that something to think?
You mean freshmen?
Or any player that maybe hasn't red shirted in their career?
Oh, yeah.
Like that's something, you know, that could be out there I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's something to watch next week.
Because they have them until basically next week, the next
Indiana
game,
yeah.
and they can make that decision.
And they can say, Coach, I'm going to redshirt now. I'm going to kind of.
But Nebraska already played 4 games though.
Yeah, after 4, so you can play 4.
Okay, but they've already played 4.
Right, so that's the cutoff.
That's it. So they can't play another game. So this off week doesn't count. But I'm saying that they can't if they can't play the Indiana game, it's off the books.
I mean, it's it's a lot of what ifs, and we'll get into in this next segment. We got 3 more minutes, but how important is it to keep your best recruiters on a staff, regardless if you're the incumbent with Mickey keeps the job and the head coach for the foreseeable future, or a new coach? How important is that?
I think with just the roster management that's going to have to go on to retain players, you're going to have to keep probably 1 to 3 coaches.
Right, for sure, that first year, right?
I mean, Mickey, Applewhite, Bush are the main priority guys. I mean, Raiola possibly, but it just depends on who you hire and what they want.
Yeah.
But I think 1 or 2 have to be kept.
Or you're starting over.
Otherwise, you could have 40 guys go in the portal.
Right. And that pretty much you're done. You're almost like on.
You're starting at ground zero.
Yeah, you're pretty much on. Like SMU. You're just starting. Your roster is gutted. And real short, here's what I always wanted to ask you. This is, how big of a crapshoot is it getting a guy out of the portal or from high school? Because it seems to me everybody thinks the portal is like you're getting a bunch of gems, but it looks like you're getting a bunch of like fool's gold, coming out of there, because there's always something deeper than why you're in the portal majority of the time.
And you find out later because you lift up the hood and kind of like, wait a minute, I didn't see this before you got here.
Right. Like, look at AJ Allen, high school guy. I mean, if you can find that kind of guy, and Anthony Grant was a JUCO guy that nobody wanted.
Right.
Because he was at what, New Mexico military.
Well, he went to Florida State,
right?
And his mother passed away, and had to step away and deal with his personal, just what he was battling.
Absolutely.
And then went to Garden City.
Yeah.
Had to leave there. Goes to New Mexico military. Won the National Player of the Year. It was between us and like Arkansas State.
Oh wow!
And so they didn't even have to use NIL to get Anthony Grant here. Right. It was just a guy that needed, like a spot opened up, and I think Steve Cooper, the GA or analyst, was the one that stood on the table for him. So think about where this team would be without those 2 guys.
Right.
Brian Applewhite brought AJ Allen, and Steve Cooper brought in Anthony Grant.
Right.
Because Allen was committed to TCU first, wasn't he? And he made that move after Applewhite came up here.
Correct? And I know when they were looking at the running backs coach, they really wanted a guy that could bring somebody with a player. And then that was AJ Allen. And he's probably the best high school guy they added to the roster.
Right. But, as far as like, again, like the recruiting, in your experience or what you hear, what's more appealing to coaching staffs, recruiting? Because you hear some coaching staffs like, I just love the portal because they view it as easier. There might be some tape. Or do you think coaches want to get a high school guy that maybe they can kind of really develop?
Well, I think if you're Brent Venables at Oklahoma, he knows he's got lots of time right now. He's going primarily high school. He's taking the Dabo Sweeney approach.
Right.
He wants to build.
But here, where you have a gun to your head right now, like it's like, and you had some recruiting misses and developmental misses and other things happen. That's why Nebraska had to do what they did. And it was a big time boom or bust strategy, as we now know. I mean, they added some. Casey Thompson's a good player.
Yeah.
Right.
Trey Palmer,
absolutely.
Marcus Washington, good players.
IGC.
But on defense, O'Shawn hasn't done what you would think. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He just hasn't done what you would think.
But what was the thought of he was going to do?
Well, he had 10 sacks in the Big 12. So you thought that he could get to a quarter.
2 years ago, right? Well, what did he do last year?
4, right?
Right. So I always add 1 or 10 plus 4. 7 is the max. Get what I'm saying? He could sue. Now, you ain't getting many pass rush attempts when you're down 35 points.
Right.
And so there's a lot that goes to it as well.
Tommy Hill, I thought, was going to be better. I mean, I think we all did. Travis Fisher, for him, Travis Fisher on the record said that if Tommy Hill plays with potential, his name could be on this stadium someday.
Right.
And Fish doesn't typically say
he
so.
He's pretty reserved. Yeah, he's pretty reserved.
Yeah. I mean, I usually didn't used to like to deal with what ifs, because that's like a lot of potential. So That's the first segment down. We are going to break. Old school with Sean Callahan and Aaron Davis. We're going to come back and we're going to dive into a little bit more of in-state recruiting versus the 500-mile radius and national recruiting. We'll be back.
You're listening to Old School with DP and J. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive Certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
College football in Lincoln, America. The time has come. Start your game day off right with the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the ticket crew live from Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket as they bring you all the coverage you need to get you ready for the action. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Brought to you by A1 Automotive, Mullen Motors, Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits, Bauer Underground, Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group, and Ritchie Brothers.
Imagine your next staff meeting. Now imagine your next staff meeting with a side of ribs. Your next client presentation, or that same client presentation with brisket and baked beans. It's better, right? Let Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul take care of all of your business catering needs. Feed the staff, cater your next event, whatever you need, Mary Ellen's can help. They can even host your events in their brand new event space located right next to the restaurant. Go see for yourself. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul at 29th and Pine Lake or online at maryellens.com. Let them fix you a plate.
Seasons change, but your land stays the same. You need the right solutions to keep you moving. That's why you rely on Acres Equipment, your Nebraska-owned premier John Deere dealership. Whether you're harvesting, protecting your crops, feeding the herd, maintaining your lawn, improving your business, or letting off some steam, Acres has what you need to get the job done. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
It's tailgate season. Why would you bounce around from place to place for all your beverage needs when you could have it all in one place? Wine, Beer, and Spirits has everything for your parties with their 3 locations in Lincoln, Grand Island, and Omaha. It's the largest liquor store in the state, and here's the best part. You can get a drink from their bar and walk around with it as you shop for all your tailgate necessities. Locally owned and operated, it's Wine, Beer, and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln. You're getting lots of steps in this fall between going to football and volleyball games. Are your shoes getting worn out? For the rest of September, when you stop by Brown Shoe Fit, you can take an additional 20% off the men's clearance rack sale price. The clearance rack has your favorite brands like Brooks, New Balance, Clarks, and more. Hurry in for the best selection in your size. The sale ends September 30th, so hurry in now for 20% off all shoes on the men's clearance rack at Brown Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
Empire Fence and Netting in Waverly is now hiring for several positions. They're looking for a fence installer for both commercial and residential, for local projects, and ones that require travel. They also have openings for operators, dirt work, welding positions, and applicants with CDLs are very desirable. If you're looking for a locally operated business that provides excellent work for customers and great benefits and care for its employees, email info@empire-fence.com or give them a call at 402-682-7658. Empire Fence and Netting.
People first is more than a nice sentiment. At American Senior Benefits, it's the mission. If you're ready for a career where you can truly put your customers' needs ahead of everything else, this is for you. American Senior Benefits is one of the leading senior market insurance product distributors in the country, and they're looking for high-energy applicants with strong communication skills. Enjoy on-the-job training, a fun work environment, and unlimited income potential. Visit asbmidwest.com to learn more. American Senior Benefits.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9.
with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
We stand on the shoulders of women who came before us.
Women who fought for their own financial futures.
And now it's our turn.
Join us. Visit WeSaySaveIt.org and take control of your financial future by saving for retirement.
A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Broadcasting veteran Derek Pearson.
When you find something that moves them, that makes them smile, celebrate it. That's your task. That's your superpower.
Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score!
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back out here at Tanner's at 30th and Yankee Hill. We got Husker Online, Sean Callahan for us the rest of the hour. Come out and check out Tanner's Burgers and Tanner Lips. We got Aaron Davis in here sitting in for DP, talking a little recruiting and where Nebraska goes from here.
We got our wing order in too.
You got our wing order in. I'm trying these charred buff wings. They come highly recommended from Sean and AD. Sean, I wanted to ask you, I'm always interested when, because whether you're talking about an assistant coach or a head coach, recruiting is just as important as wins and losses. And some places it may even be more important. What, in your mind, makes a coach a good recruiter versus, say, an average or bad recruiter?
Want to just drive.
Right.
I mean, Bill Bush, I've been at some public events with him, and his wife was a former Husker cheerleader, Laura, and at St. Michael's last year we had an event, and he goes, "Honey, stand up." He goes, "People always ask me why I'm a good recruiter. Look at my wife." He goes, I can convince any, he's a salesman, and he just has a way to go about it. But you have to grind. Like a guy like Bill Bush, when he wakes up in the morning at like 6 or 7 in the morning or whatever, he's putting out like 30, 40 texts to all of his guys.
Yeah.
All of them
that he's recruiting.
And then even contacting people around the country. He just says a good morning, just constant dialogue all the time.
So that, essentially it's just going to work, right? And then you have to really believe in what you're selling per se, right?
Like Vince Marrow at Kentucky he
was an excellent recruiter.
And he's one of the best in the SEC now. Right. And that's how, Vince could claim a connection to you. Like he'd figure out who you are and he'd know someone that know you. And then
he's going to find it out
and then get a dialogue with you.
Right.
Sean, let me ask you this. This is always blows me away. Radio is still something that's very new for me. All this stuff is still new, for less than a year.
You're good at it.
Well, I don't know about good at it. But I look at, I was just kind of, obviously I've known about you for a long time. We've met in passing things, but, and letting listeners know too, Sean has wrote a book, and some of you don't know about that, 100 Things Nebraska fans should know and do before they die. You don't just talk about it, go on Twitter, do a little research. Like you mentioned about Coach Bush, you pour yourself in. You're committed to this. You're not interested. You're committed. And there's a lot of people that are interested in sports or interested in journalism or interested in football or interested in coaching, but they're not committed. You've committed to this. What's now your commitment? There's probably not a recruit we can't say right now that you haven't heard of before. You can spout it off because why? You're committed to doing it. That commitment right now, I'm not going to say, what does Mickey and those guys have to do right now is what I want to say, because that's our coach. Mickey has that same type of commitment. Bush has that same type of commitment. Like you mentioned, every morning he's waking up, just shooting off text. Is that what's going to take to really rebuild this thing?
Yeah, and you've seen it with Mickey on the in-state front, just the urgency.
Yes.
Without stepping on toes, like he just said, I'm going to take these certain guys on the in-state, and it used to not be that way. And he's like, hey, I'm taking Bellevue West now. I'm taking West Side. I'm taking Lincoln East. I got Lincoln High.
Right.
There's too many kids in the state this year for one guy to handle. And I think Mickey recognized maybe that there were some blind spots in areas where he needed to come in and deal with Cluster Johnson or talk to Damon Benning and talk to Larry Martin.
Right.
Have that connection to go into these schools. He
Right.
played with Creighton Prep's coach, Tim Yonk at Nebraska. So I think Mickey recognized, like, hey, I can help us here on the in-state. I coached at Omaha North with Todd O'Neill, their OC that's still there. So he just is able to go in there and I think help in those areas, and his Louisiana recruiting, and Trey Palmer. I mean, he's probably the best receiver on the team right now. He got him to Nebraska in one phone call.
And Sean, I wanted to ask you, the recruiting and Nebraska's done well recruiting. Like when you look at their classes every year. I mean, heck, one year we beat Michigan. You right?
Nebraska's been
in the upper half of the Big Ten,
20 to 35 ish.
Right. So that's that's decent. Where is the disconnect from the classes that we get, at least on paper, to what ends up being the product? Because I think that's really the lost in translation right there, whether there's lack of development or missing or just the lack of seeing the right things to what we're seeing on Saturdays. Because you always had this saying, we can't recruit all these linemen for years
and miss on them all.
When Mike Riley was here, it's not like you guys were good in high school, then everybody just supplants themselves in Lincoln, and all of a sudden can't everybody turns into a turnstile. So what is the missing potion per se?
Well, yeah, in recruiting, you look at those rankings, the top like 6 or 7 teams, like they're at a different level. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, Notre Dame, LSU, USC, like
all of
that group of teams. Miami,
you didn't even take the top like 12, 15, but we're just talking about in our wheelhouse.
When you get to where Nebraska's at in the rankings, there is not a lot of separation in those classes.
Right.
It's one guy here or there that moves you up 5 or 6 spots.
Right.
But then it becomes down to, do you really know your guys? Did you identify them? Did you develop them? And you look at some of the classes that Scott had that were highly ranked. They got like a big boom on guys they signed late that they didn't even really know. I mean, like Travis Fisher signed like 4 or 5 Miami kids.
They were gone in like 6 months.
During COVID, right? They were out of here.
And I use it like, okay, it's like you meet a girl in Vegas and get married to her in Vegas. Like you had a hell of a weekend in Vegas. And then you bring her back home to Nebraska. And you find a few things out. Like
what happened in Vegas, I should have kept it in Vegas.
I mean, you get like DeAndre Francois here, and he just in the middle of the night packed his stuff up and left to go to the airport.
Right.
Marcus Fleming didn't want to practice, and they said, "Oh, you're not going to travel to Iowa then because you're not going to practice this week. You're hurt." After he just had like 90 yards against Northwestern the previous week. And he goes, "Fine, then I quit." It's like that.
You can't foresee,
but you have to find the right cultural guys. And you guys have probably been to Miami, Florida. It's a different world.
It's a different world.
But the guys from Miami have been working other places though, because if it can work up in Wisconsin, they getting brothers all the way up there. It's colder.
You got to have the culture established.
Right. See what you just said, Sean, is culture. When I was just in Miami a week and a half ago. In fact, we did the show, was called in from there, and they had guys from Miami grads, Florida State grads, and was one from Georgia. And then I was up in Wisconsin last year, and I was there during the wintertime. And it irks me when I hear people in Nebraska or just say, well, it's hard to bring people here. I was getting people there. North Dakota's getting people there. South Dakota State has got people right there.
Like
from all over the place.
DiCaprio Budo, I'll give you a good example of him. He's a Miami guy.
Yep.
His brother's committed. They had him locked up in like June of his senior year or whatever. Like they had him
going into senior.
They had a relationship. They courted him. They got to know him. Oh, then they found out his brother played football at UNO. His brother played. He had already had a brother. It's like then DiCaprio Budo ended up being a great, good NFL player.
And they only knew that, Sean, because they got to knowing a relationship and establish that.
So you have to, you got to identify your guys early in recruiting and build that core. Like Jaden Doss, Kansas City guy, he's tearing it up right now. Ray Moore Peculiar had a game with like 5 touchdowns this year. That's the kind of guy you want here, that you can get on campus, get him here multiple times. And Bill Bush worked it hard. And like I look at our quarterback recruiting for this year, I thought it was so interesting. We had 4 Power 5 quarterbacks this year that could drive to Lincoln. A Des Moines guy, Jamie Cole's kid. You had a kid in Pierre, South Dakota, Gretna, and Wichita, Kansas. And
the Bellevue West kid.
And the Bellevue. Well, the Bellevue West kid's a junior.
Okay.
Those 4 guys are Power 5 offer senior quarterbacks. I've never seen that many in one year that could get here within
driving distance.
And we take a guy from, far out Massachusetts, and Mark Whipple believed in this guy, but I know like they wanted, there was some heavy interest in Avery Johnson, who's going to Kansas State. And, they looked at him hard. And Jamie Cole's kid, JJ, I think was interested in Nebraska, and he was the Elite 11 MVP. But, maybe I'll eat my words here, but yeah, this kid from Massachusetts, I don't see that.
Is he a dual threat or drop back?
He's a dual threat. He's a great athlete, great player, but is he a fit? When you have these 4 cultural guys that are right around here that might be better fits. And that's where the coaches make the money and have to make those decisions.
Right.
And, this was a year where I'm like, man, this is a year you could have gotten your quarterback right in this region.
Mm-hmm.
Talk real quick, Sean, because with Mickey being named coach, and when I watched Avery Williams from New Orleans, defensive end, Ashley Williams, excuse me, I saw a football player. I saw a guy playing against real talent and dominating. Now, whatever happened. Do you think that door is going to be opened again?
So I think you're right. Cam Linhart was
decommitted.
Was a Dawson Shenander guy,
right?
And there was a little bit of
I know there were behind the scenes
because they took
they didn't want to take more than 2 defensive ends
because they told Maverick Noonan
and all that, which that might be in the next segment. I don't ever believe in promising kids, but I understand Danny, legacy and all that. But Ashley could play. And he's a top 100 kid.
The defensive staff had their sights on Linhart.
Right.
Mickey Joseph took the Williams commit, I think, without kind of running it through, and it caused kind of a situation.
Right.
And then it allowed Ashley Williams. He tried to commit to Minnesota first.
Oh, I know.
Then he went to Nebraska.
Yeah.
Now he's at Auburn. Well, what's going to happen at Auburn?
Right.
So
that's why I'm asking.
I do think there will be an opportunity
to get him back,
especially with Mickey.
And then Linhart, the first minute that Shenander was fired, he announced he was gone.
Right? Yeah.
And that's to be expected.
Right.
And that's also should be expected, but then also you need to be respected because it lets you know Shenander actually, was recruiting.
Absolutely.
So that lets you know it wasn't all bad, even though he got relieved of his duty. So I'll always try to give the coaches their kudos when they were doing, what they were supposed to do. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. And I want to ask you in the next 1 minute, how many recruits will Nebraska have in this class this year?
Well,
I'm putting you right on the hot seat.
Nostradamus.
You the veteran. You didn't know what you was getting today, man. You getting here, I'm asking all types of questions.
It's a hard question to answer because we don't know what's going to happen on the roster. But I can tell you what they wanted it to be.
Right.
Like before, all this has happened, that they were looking at 17 to 18 high school recruits, and then backfill the rest with the portal. Late, December.
Yeah.
You don't like that. That was what the plan was last year, and everybody freaked out,
right?
Because you didn't even know that you don't know who's going to go in the portal. That's
right.
the problem. Yeah. And then you got to figure out these portal additions in a month.
Right.
And you got to go to Vegas and find a girl, basically. And,
well, we don't know. We haven't been to Vegas that long, so we're going to go to break. We're going to see if we can find it.
We got onion rings here.
Yeah, we got onion rings here. We got some wings coming. We're going to take a couple-minute break. Then we're going to get a couple of segments in before we let Sean get off the hot seat. This is old school. We will be back in a couple minutes.
You're listening to Old School with DP and J. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Warhorse Casino is looking for trailblazers for every department. Food and beverage servers, environmental services, cage cashiering, revenue auditor, IT, and more. Find your winning opportunity at our job fair, Tuesday, September 27th from 3 to 7 at the Lincoln Warhorse Gaming Office, 3730 South 14th Street. Every employee is treated like family, and every role is essential in creating a one-of-a-kind experience. For information on openings and job fairs, go to warhorsecasino.com.
Hi, this is Kurt, your shop manager at A1 Automotive here in downtown Lincoln. My promise to you is this: you won't find another automotive repair facility that genuinely cares about you and your vehicle. Our service is outstanding and our customer service is better. Please give me a call for all your automotive repair questions and needs. Call me at 402-477-4660. We were built on small town values, and that shows in how we treat others. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
The dog days of summer are here. Is your yard in need of a touch-up as we head into the fall season? August, September, and October are the months for aeration, and Penner Sprinkler and Lawn is the place to call to get the job done right. If you're noticing any issues with your sprinkler system through the hot summer months, they're always a call away, and they're already scheduling installs for sprinkler systems for next year and all other lawn care needs. Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn today at 402-413-1215.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. Right now, they have tons of Oktoberfest beers, and you can check out their Odell Brewing, Imperium Brewing, and Sam Adams selections as their beers of the month. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
Empire Fence and Netting in Waverly is now hiring for several positions. They're looking for a fence installer for both commercial and residential, for local projects, and ones that require travel. They also have openings for operators, dirt work, welding positions, and applicants with CDLs are very desirable. If you're looking for a locally operated business that provides excellent work for customers and great benefits and care for its employees, email info@empire-fence.com or give them a call at 402-682-7658. Empire Fence and Netting.
At Venue Catering and Events, we offer two of the most historic ballrooms in Lincoln. The Jasmine Room, located in the historic Grand Manse in the heart of downtown, featuring a beautiful built-in antique bar, spacious patio, and soaring skylit ceilings. The Scottish Rite Ballroom, located just 2 blocks from the state's capital, boasts intricate hand-carved columns, rich dark wood floors, and lavish chandeliers. The perfect venues to host your wedding, corporate event, or much more. For availability and more information, call us at 402-603-6483.
Seasons change, but your land stays the same. You need the right solutions to keep you moving. That's why you rely on Acres Equipment, your Nebraska-owned premier John Deere dealership. Whether you're harvesting, protecting your crops, feeding the herd, maintaining your lawn, improving your business, or letting off some steam, Acres has what you need to get the job done. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
People first is more than a nice sentiment. At American Senior Benefits, it's the mission. If you're ready for a career where you can truly put your customers' needs ahead of everything else, this is for you. American Senior Benefits is one of the leading senior market insurance product distributors in the country, and they're looking for high-energy applicants with strong communication skills. Enjoy on-the-job training, a fun work environment, and unlimited income potential. Visit asbmidwest.com to learn more. American Senior Benefits.
Back to old school with DP and J.
Sean, you remember this song from back being down at Kaboom? All right, we are back. Old school Sean Callahan, Husker Online, out here at Tanner's at 30th
It's like
and
we're in
Yankee
Miami
Hill.
right now.
You know, me and Sean and AD are going to be here, all three of us together, Three Musketeers, for another 5 to 10 minutes. Out here at Tanner's, eating some onion rings. I got some wings coming, some wangs coming. So, Sean, I wanted to ask you again, moving forward, what do you think is the two most important position groups that Nebraska attacks and hits in the next like 2 classes?
O-line, D-line, without a doubt. And I don't know how you do it or what the plan is, but if you can't block and you can't get to a quarterback with 4,
right,
it's really, really hard in this league to do anything.
Right.
And right now, Nebraska can't block. They can't get to quarterbacks with 4.
Right.
And so then automatically you're handicapped as a team because you saw Casey Thompson.
Sure.
He was sacked 3 times in 5 snaps on Saturday against Oklahoma, and that turned the game around at that point. And then you saw Nebraska's front. They have not gotten the quarterbacks this year.
Right.
And they're blitz the skies and just everything in general just hasn't worked with what they. And I don't want to try to act like I know it, but
Yeah.
I know enough to know that they're not getting the quarterbacks.
Sure. In your opinion, from knowing recruiting and talking to coaches and talking to recruits and seeing how those recruits end up, what they end up being, what do you think? What is your opinion on the biggest part in development? Is it the weight room, practice, combination, or want to by that individual player?
I mean, it's a little bit of everything. And I think with Nebraska, what's happened here is if a guy is really talented, we almost have to play him earlier than we should just because he's that good. Like Teddy Prohaska, like having to put him out there last year, that was our Turner Corcoran, having to put him out there as a true freshman. And, were those guys ready for it? I think they played well in their first starts, but I think we've asked a lot of some of these new guys when they come in, especially at positions like the line, where they have to come in and play
significant roles.
Like Bryce Benhart. I mean, having to start, was it his redshirt freshman year? Was it 2020? He had to start right away at right tackle, and I honestly feel like that was his best year.
Right.
I mean, I can't figure out how his first year felt like his best year.
Right. Well, that's what I'm asking. So, where in your opinion, where's the disconnect from year 1 to year 3 and 4? Because it's supposed to be flipped. You're supposed to be garbage when you come in at year 1, and then when you leave year 4, you're supposed to be consistent improvement.
Kind of like uptick somewhere.
I think it's mental. I mean, I think there's a lot of mental issues with guys too, and they feel the pressure. I mean, there's not a lot of places where you lose like Nebraska has, and there's still 88,000 people coming.
Right.
I mean,
absolutely,
it's an anomaly. It really is. When you see that stadium still full, like for Iowa last year, or for Georgia Southern, and these games, there's nowhere else anywhere that would draw that kind of crowd for the way Nebraska's played. And I think the players obviously feel an obligation to play better, and it's just not happening. And in certain situations, they just have not performed. And I don't know if there's an easy answer. I mean, other than just building your culture the right way, developing your linemen the right way. And it felt like that's what they were trying to do. They brought in all these giant guys with measurables, and Dave Ellis and Zach Duvall were going to put them in the lab, and they were going to build them up. And that obviously has not worked. I mean, they just have not, we thought, man, with this elite nutrition program and strength program, these 6'7" to 6'9" guys are just going to be unstoppable. And for whatever reason, that plan has not worked.
I want to ask you in short before we let you out of here, how much is it on the kid to continue to get better and not listen to, hey, you're the great, since you played one good game, you're the greatest? Because I think a little bit of that gets in the way. Because I think some guys that are struggling, they've been on a lot of social media posts leading up to the game. Now, that's what you have to do in this day and time.
And you give up a sack, and you're like, man, what are they going to say about me on Twitter right now? What are they saying about me?
How much do you think that weighs into their mind?
It's tough. I mean, there's no doubt, because if you miss a sack at Kansas or Kansas State, you're probably not getting blown up near as much.
Right.
And here it's, like so-and-so sucks, or that, and it's worse than that, obviously.
Right.
So you can go on Twitter during a game and type in the guy's name after a bad play, and you can see all the ats that go out of kids. So it does have, I mean, there's no doubt it has an impact for the guys when they're out there playing, but you're right about anointing guys early here too. And even the last time we talked to Coach Frost, he was quick to hit the brakes on Anthony Grant. He's doing really well, but I'm not going to sit up here and say he's the best player at running back we ever had, because we have a tendency here to anoint guys. And Jason Peter has said that many times. I've heard him speak, and he says that's the problem here. We want to call somebody the greatest player here when they've only maybe done it in one game against North Dakota.
Right.
You know what, Sean, what you just said, man, and Jay, I know you can attest to this. Coach Osborne, and I know people say we always talk about coach, because that's what I'm going. That's the template that I have, and was successful at it. He anointed it. No one. He would say, "Yeah, he had a pretty good game, and you got to keep working." It was never, this is going to be the next this and next that. No, just get to the next play. And I think sometimes, even as fans, can set players up to where they don't have those expectations.
Right.
And because of social media, there's all this jabbering going on.
Right.
And you know what? During the losing season that Callahan had, social media was in its infant stages.
Yeah.
There was, Twitter was 2 years old at that point, give or take. So all those things weren't there. But I think what you keep saying, Sean, is culture. And that's one thing that's obviously has to be rebuilt. because these kids are very fragile right now.
And I'll say one thing that's changed Nebraska over the years is the online recruiting era,
right?
Because the passion of the Nebraska fans
is there.
They follow it,
right?
And they overanalyze every offer, every recruit.
Right.
Where 25 years ago, when Charlie McBride and Milt Tenneper offered a guy or took a commit, you're like, "Yep, I trust these guys."
Right.
You know, he might be a 2-star or no star, but these guys know what they're doing.
Right.
Now, you know, if they took a guy that's like low and doesn't have a lot of offers, you know, we're doing a whole show on the ticket about it.
We're not doing a good job recruiting, and then he ends up being an All-American.
Right,
so, we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. We want to thank Sean for being here. It goes by quick, man. Sean,
I know.
you got out the hot seat, man. You can handle pressure. So
I'm doing a few more out here, guys. So.
Yeah, we know one thing we do know: we can rob a bank with you because you can hold your water. So, Sean, I want to thank you for being on. Enjoy the wings. We're going to enjoy our break, and we're going to break, and we'll be back with then it will be J and AD for the last hour.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with DP and J on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Look at your car. It's filthy and probably has a few dings and nicks all over it. Don't be that guy. Get it upgraded and repaired at Renew Your Auto. At Renew Your Auto, they offer tons of services: ceramic coating, window tinting, paintless dent repair, washes and details, bed liners, body shop, and more. Where can you go to get services like that all in one place? Schedule your appointment today at renewyourauto.com. See what Renew can do for you.
The dog days of summer are here. Is your yard in need of a touch-up as we head into the fall season? August, September, and October are the months for aeration, and Penner Sprinkler and Lawn is the place to call to get the job done right. If you're noticing any issues with your sprinkler system through the hot summer months, they're always a call away, and they're already scheduling installs for sprinkler systems for next year and all other lawn care needs. Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn today at 402-413-1215.
Tractor Supply is looking for full-time team members for their Waverly Distribution Center. Applicants can expect a 3- and 4-day work week schedule with additional overtime days, with both day and night shift schedules available. Stand-up forklift and high-reach forklift experience is a plus for open positions, but they're willing to train for those without experience. At Tractor Supply, they work hard, have fun, and make money. Apply today at tractorsupply.jobs.
People first is more than a nice sentiment. At American Senior Benefits, it's the mission. If you're ready for a career where you can truly put your customers' needs ahead of everything else, this is for you. American Senior Benefits is one of the leading senior market insurance product distributors in the country, and they're looking for high-energy applicants with strong communication skills. Enjoy on-the-job training, a fun work environment, and unlimited income potential. Visit asbmidwest.com to learn more. American Senior Benefits.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides: shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pine Lane. Let them fix you a plate.
Your friends at Koppel Insurance Agency reminds everyone the back-to-school season is meant to be a fun time for our kids. Please make it a safe one. Slow down through school zones and never go around a stop school bus. This message has been brought to you by Koppel Insurance Agency. If you're looking for insurance, call 402-475-3213. They are honest and fair. For a solid insurance program to meet your every need, see Koppel Insurance Agency. They're wishing all of our children a safe and successful school year.
They might win, they might lose, but either way, you have something to say about it. Don't miss the Husker After Party postgame show immediately following every Nebraska football game. Nick Sainert and Jake Bachhoven give instant reaction, quotes from the players and coaches, and take all your phone calls with thoughts on the game. It's the Husker After Party postgame show, only on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Sponsored by Action Plumbing and Heating, Gary Michaels Clothiers, and Brent Excavate.
College football in Lincoln, America. The time has come. Start your game day off right with the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the Ticket Crew live from Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket as they bring you all the coverage you need to get you ready for the action. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Brought to you by A1 Automotive, Mullen Motors, Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits, Bauer Underground, Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group, and Ritchie Brothers.
Seasons change, but your land stays the same. You need the right solutions to keep you moving. That's why you rely on Acres Equipment, your Nebraska-owned premier John Deere dealership. Whether you're harvesting, protecting your crops, feeding the herd, maintaining your lawn, improving your business, or letting off some steam, Acres has what you need to get the job done. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Broadcasting veteran Derek Pearson.
When you find something that moves them, that makes them smile, celebrate it. That's your task. That's your superpower.
Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score!
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
There it is. We got the maestro on behind the scenes, Nate O'Brennan. Actually, that's his real name. He won't let anybody know. This is Old School with DP and J. We are live from Tanner's Bar and Grill, 30th and Yankee Hill. We are sponsored by the Mercado, Certified Piedmontese, special ingredients and butcher shop. Great appetizers, main course meals, dessert, and a butcher shop where you can take stuff home. So you need to also come by and check us out at Tanner's. They got great burgers and Tanner's Lips, what they're known for. So we got a lot to cover. We want to thank Sean again for being on us. We should call that thing the power hour, the hot seat, because we've asked him some hard-hitting questions. Now I get to turn over to you, AD.
Mm-hmm.
And as a former player, alumnus, and we all fit into this fan, Husker craze, crazy. What do you want to see, or the last 8 weeks from this Husker team and Husker staff?
Yeah, I want to thank Sean Callahan again from Huskers Online and also on3.com. He's very knowledgeable, he's committed to what he's doing. Yeah. And I think that's the word right now, Jay. I want to see commitment.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to get it from Mickey
and
his staff right now.
Right.
I know he's going to get that. But also, there's only so much a coach can say.
Yeah.
Eventually, eventually somebody in that locker room or a number of guys need to step up and say, you know what, and take ownership.
Yeah.
Because they can't block, run, and tackle and catch balls for you.
Yeah.
They can pour their blood, sweat, and tears to you. But at the end of the day, it's up to them to make that commitment to say, you know what, if we're going to right this ship, it's going to start with us, man.
Right.
It's going to start with us. And so I think there's got to be some more player accountability amongst themselves. Jay, I want you to, speaking of that, talk about the Unity Council.
Right. Yeah, that was huge.
Talk about that, what that
Unity
meant for
Council
us.
It was like a board of governors or something to where you always felt like you had one of them watching you to make sure you were in line, but you also had plenty of Unity Council, all of them, where you could go to if you had an issue. Mm-hmm. All of them had been through anything that we had been through, whether it's lack of playing time, so homesick, grades, or anything like that. So just because they're on the Unity Council doesn't mean that they hadn't went through some lean times. And I think that it was huge for guys like myself, that was from out of state, kind of knew about Nebraska, but didn't know the Nebraska way, where they would kind of put their arm around you or kind of around your neck and grab you and bring you along and show you the way, as long as you wanted to go along with, how we did things. And so, but the Unity Council was also there to deliver messages so Coach Osborne wouldn't have to deliver those messages. And I'll never forget when, we were, I guess before I got here, there's some issues down on O Street, and we were starting to catch some heat, in the national media, and we started to take off as a team and as a unit. And Christian Peter and those guys stood up in front of the team and said, if we catch any of you guys down on O Street on Thursday, which remember Coach Osborne used to always say that 2 nights before the game is the most important night of sleep, that you don't have to worry about the coaches being mad. You got to deal with us.
Got to deal with us.
And that's the type of culture that you can still have with these kids because they can communicate with each other. You might have to do it a different way. A lot of them might communicate through like group chats or text or social media. But then also I do think it can happen. And the ability to have your team ran from the locker room in a good way,
right,
is something that leads to a huge amount of wins and losses because it allows the coaches to do what they do best, coach. Now, they need to still be there for the players and mentor them, but all the little kind of stuff that can distract a coach or a player or a position group, the Unity Council, and the leaders within the team.
Right.
Because even though you weren't old enough to be on the Unity Council, you still were a leader. Because you took me and Ruck under your wing and showed us, and brought us in and was cool with us.
Right.
And if we didn't have that, we would have just been out there trying to figure it out on our own. We could have gotten in trouble.
Yep.
We could have not figured it out. Then we could have been, well, in this day and age, we could have been in the transfer portal, and here we could have ended up flaming out and just being back home.
Absolutely.
So, everybody's, I was talking about this to, a few people, and they always talk about leadership, and we had some great leaders while we were here.
we did.
And you have a great coach like Coach Osborne, and great coach like Frank Solis, great coach like Coach McBride, and numerous coaches. But your best coaches and your best leaders are big part of that is because they have people around them that are willing to be led.
That's right.
And lead with them.
That's right. That's right.
And people don't give that enough respect. They just think, oh, well, great leader. Because if Coach Osborne didn't have the great assistants that could deliver the Nebraska way in their own way, which he let them do, and that's leadership as well.
Right.
Then we might not ever hear about Coach Osborne.
That's
you get
true.
what I'm saying?
That's
so
true.
It's a truly a team effort. And I said this last night on Big Red Wrap Up. I keep saying it, and now for this defense to make a drastic turnaround, they have to accept. Number one, accept, and that's the hard thing for this modern day athlete to do. That when you accept it, that doesn't mean that you won't get there. You have to accept where you're at right now.
Okay, it's almost like you read my notes, bro. What do I got right there? Acknowledge where you're at.
Oh yeah, well,
I'm telling you,
we brother from another mother,
We are.
man.
See, because I want you to expound on that, but I want to say this, because I want you to expound on that right now, because when you're dealing through adversity, for Mickey or anybody else, but for Mickey to come in here and say, "Well, things are fine," no, they're not fine. They're and this. I know it's a fictitious movie, any given Sunday,
right?
But in that line when Al Pacino goes to the locker room and he says, "We either heal as a team, or we're going to crumble inch by inch, play by play until we're finished." He goes, "We're in hell right now." He said, "We can stay here and get the crap kicked." Now, you didn't say crap, but get the crap kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back.
Right.
What you just said is acknowledge. How do you, if you're in that locker room right now, Jay, think about your own 10-year career in the pros. There were times you had to acknowledge, I got to get it together.
Right.
How would you continue to nurse this team and tell this team, we got to acknowledge where we're at right now, fellas? I mean, we're in football hell.
Right.
All right.
We are in the depths of hell
we're
right
the depths.
now.
How do you acknowledge it? What does that do when you acknowledge it?
You got to accept constructive criticism and the constructive, celebration in the same way. Don't just be here and just be all ears when somebody's telling you how great you are, or they're putting you on front of husker.com or whatever, and the posters, or not posters anymore.
You got the highlight videos on Snapchat and Instagram.
You got to accept constructive criticism because it's coming from a good place and it's only going to make you better.
Absolutely.
That's why you have to accept where you're at.
Absolutely.
And you have to start by accepting, have you played well? Have you played well within the system? And can you play better?
That's
and
right.
Everybody has to do it. Nobody on this team, even though we've had, like we talked about, Casey and Trey and Grant and AJ Allen and so forth.
Right.
Nobody's played good enough to say, you know what, I'm above getting better.
Absolutely.
Or there's not a lot of things I need to work on. And defensively in particular, you have to accept where you are. Okay. And
numbers don't lie.
What numbers don't lie, and you're first of all in the film.
No, it does not.
It's definitely not lying.
It doesn't
definitely
lie.
Not lying. accept where we're at individually and collectively.
Here's the second thing. Go ahead.
And then come together and say, you know what, we are going to do this again. This has to be we. We don't have a Grant Wistrom or a Jason Peter and Dominican Sue or Levante.
Or Jay Foreman. Right.
So we have, but you can still be a good defense.
Right.
If we decide to do it together. And once they start doing it, I think some, and I can't speak because this isn't a factual, but I think some guys got caught up in this kind of social media thing where they thought they were just because they thought the other team was going to be intimidated.
Right.
Because you're the guy that they're all talking about.
Right, looking at highlight videos,
right.
etc.
Yeah, the dudes bite back too.
Absolutely,
and they're on scholarship too.
That's right.
And so and this should be a good break for everybody to check themselves, even through the weekend, and to say, we got 8 games here. We can still have a special season and go from there.
Which leads me to the next point. I got 6 things, Jay. I'm just going to ask you and just tee off the word because a person with your width and depth of history and knowledge and just the accolades, you just didn't go after accolades. You went after accomplishments, and you did it with the hard work. The next word I said, okay, leading through adversity, acknowledge where you're at. The next one is assess where you're at.
Right.
You acknowledge, okay, I'm here. This is where we're at.
Right.
Now you got to assess it. So, Jay, it's like after a storm. You acknowledge, okay, there was a storm. And then you start assessing the damage of the storm.
Right.
They bring in assessors in. Our big Husker brother, William Washington, when there's a hurricane or a storm, he goes in, okay, there was a tornado here. Now I got to go and assess the damage.
Right.
So as you're assessing the damage, what are some of the things you're looking at right now? Because you're leading through adversity. So what are the things you're assessing?
Right. I'm looking for an improvement on a day-to-day basis if I'm a coach. I want to see us get better. I mean, I would encourage every player to have a goal every single day of what you want to get better at.
Absolutely.
Every single day, whether I want to get better at my drops, whether I want to get better at my reads, communication, coming out of your breaks as a receiver,
absolutely,
catching it with both hands, not being a body, whatever it may be.
Right.
Or a goal could be essentially that I'm going to be locked in.
Right.
The whole practice. Locked in the whole. It could be something like that. Or I'm gonna practice like this is a game. I'm gonna lock in when I'm about to go in.
This is a game.
Okay. Then I'm gonna decompress when when I'm out. Say the other people are rotating in, or it's an offensive series. Then I'm locking back in. So you have to train yourself to be in game mode. That's what I'd be looking for, and that's what I want to assess as far as where we can come out of it, because those are the things that are very, very minimal and small.
Right.
They don't think everybody thinks all you need to go out and recruit, Anthony Munoz and all these other, we got what we got. So
exactly. These are all the ingredients. We can't go shopping no more.
We ain't getting
There's no free agents coming here.
So now we have to be able to add some of our own spices to it so it can taste good. And so if they all decide to do that, they'll be fine, because it's not a lack of talent. It's a lack of mental toughness and mental awareness.
Right.
And some of that can come from social media. Some of it can come from not having people around that's maybe not, I would strongly encourage any coach, Mickey or any coach in any other university. And I talked to PJ Fleck about this. He does it. Ron Johnson does this. And he's on TV and radio, but he's in there keeping it real with those guys and keeping them in check. I would really, really encourage to find adult mentors that have been where they've been to keep them focused. And we talked to Sean Callahan about, the potential of the transfer portal. That's why you got to get guys to see the bigger picture. They're thinking very, very short-sighted right now, and you need to think of both short, medium, and long term. And you've already built a somewhat of a foundation here. So why would you want to go start over somewhere, especially if you have your coach here and potentially to make a name for yourself? So I would do that, and then I would get them to see, like, look, we can't worry about Indiana. We have to worry about Nebraska.
Yeah, that's right.
We can't worry about who's Indiana's running backs until us as linebackers are working as a cohesive unit. Defensive line, we got to make sure that we have our fundamentals and feet right and everything and so forth and so on. There is no weekend off.
Right.
This isn't the weekend to say, you know what, I don't want to think about football.
Right.
You just got your head beat in on national TV.
Yeah.
This should be all you're thinking about besides schoolwork and family.
Absolutely.
That's it. This isn't a fun weekend. Yeah, you might sit back and watch some college football, but that should be getting your juices flowing to the point where you're showing up Monday or whenever their next practice is, ticked off at what just happened, and you can't wait to play Indiana 6:30, next Saturday.
You know what, Jay? One thing that you just mentioned too, it's okay to watch college football. And when you watch college football, I think some players and some people in general, regardless of what we do, they can forget it's a privilege. And I was saying that the other day, it's a privilege to play at Nebraska, but we're talking about Nebraska right now. So it's a privilege to play for Nebraska. You're on national television every week.
Game. Right.
Every game. When we were playing, it wasn't always that way. No. But these kids are on television every day playing in front of the country. You're out of sellout. You haven't had a winning season in 5 years.
Right.
But yet that stadium, I even tell people, even if it's 60,000.
Right. That's more than
winning teams get.
Right. At Illinois, one of my former teammates is their athletic director.
Yeah.
He says some of you guys, the players and the fans don't realize how good you have it, because they're winning more than us, but they're getting 40,000 people.
40,000 people.
We're getting twice that amount, and we're not winning and losing. We're getting 20,000 people to fly all the way across the pond to watch a team play Northwestern, a game that we should have won or thought we should have won.
Yeah.
So the support is there, and which there's an old saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, much is given, much is expected.
Much
right?
expected and required.
So
absolutely.
You can't have it both ways where, I wanted to ask Sean about this, is when I remember when Micah Parsons came here to Friday Night Lights, who ended up, he's with Dallas Cowboys and, all-pro linebacker. Well, when he came here, I think he got, and it wasn't NIL yet, but he got like 20,000 more Twitter followers just by coming to camp here.
Coming to Nebraska.
Right? Just think about if you came here and played well.
And committed to it.
Through adversity. People in Nebraska will get behind you
no matter what.
So tough when you deal with adversity and come out the other end. And that's all they want you to do is embody Nebraska, never give up, do what you say and say what you mean and go with it. It's not that hard. I think we're in kind of like, I always say we're right now, we fly all the time, right? So sometimes this is like flying on a day like today, when you fly.
Some turbulence.
On the, when you extend, it's going to be bumpy. Yep. But eventually you can get up above them clouds and it's nice and sunny.
It's sunny. It's going to smooth out.
We haven't decided to hit that gas. Some of those pilots, they hit the gas through there and get you up there quick.
Yeah.
Once everybody decides to hit the gas, we'll be fine, because that means we're all pulling in the right direction and have the same wants and have the same mindset. I think that guys have to be able to have hard conversations with each other, regardless if it's a guy that's a sophomore talking to a senior, regardless if it's a senior talking to another senior, or somebody that has a bigger NIL deal or not. You have to, at your most important NIL deal, you know what that is? What you do on Saturdays.
That's right.
That's your best selling point.
The N on that helmet is your NIL deal.
That's your best one. You start making plays, you start winning games, everybody's going to have an NIL deal.
Absolutely.
Right now, you don't want people to have buyer's remorse. Man, he can't play dead. He doesn't look like he's focused.
Right.
Well, if you're not focused, if they perceive you're not focused, why would they want you to represent their company?
Absolutely.
So that's why if I was talking to them, I'm going to talk to them on their level, and figure out what kind of motivates them. You talked about, about good recruiters. I think one of the biggest jobs that coaches have to do now with NIL and the transfer portal is every single off week or off season, you have to re-recruit your roster.
Yes, you do.
It's going to make you be a better coach.
Yes, you do.
On a day-to-day basis.
Yep.
Because you have to, and then you can't do much coach speak.
No.
Because when you talk to me, you, Mark, anybody, you got to deliver the message, and it has to come because they're watching.
Right.
Now, is it fair? No, because there's other circumstances that could dictate whether J or AD, because if the head man says, I want Mark in there, me and you just ain't playing. But at the end of the day, the communication has to be clear.
Right.
And that's something that you heard Trev talk about 6-9 months ago that needs to get better.
We're going to be on the same page.
And that's where you see where Mickey's knocking it out of the park, where he's communicating.
Yeah.
He's going right to the player, and he's teaching them as well.
Right.
Had a couple players that kind of talked out of emotion. He said, that's fine, but you don't get in front of bring, family issues out here.
That's right.
So he's teaching them life lessons as well.
Right.
So when you're doing that, and then Mickey's trying to, if Mickey's got to approach him about something he's doing on the field,
they trust him.
You trust him.
I trust him.
It's not that hard.
No,
I think sometimes we've made it too hard.
It is.
Look, Coach McBride could deliver a message like no other, but then he'd be right there for you when you made a play, and that's why players loved him.
You know what, Jay? There was a clip on Saturday's game where Davis was his last name, number 4. Did you see that?
Yes.
Explain to the listeners what he did on that. What he did.
Brett Venables. It was late in the game too.
Yeah.
A young corner, Davis, was trying to make a play on a pass, and Brett Venables met him
on the sidelines,
coaching him hard, but then actively coached him.
Yes.
And explained to him and showed him. They had to be getting ready for kickoff as long as it took. I was like, man, he's going to get – I'm thinking like they kicked that ball off. He's going to get his head knocked off. But he was on the sideline outside of the coach's box explaining to him why you would play a receiver a certain position in that coverage in that situation. Yeah. And then the player, then the player he got it about 75%. Then he had one more question. He said, no, look, and then showed him again.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, I got it.
Patted him on his head, let him go.
Right. So what he did was he met him with discipline.
Yep.
And then he said, you know what, this is how we're going to get better. And I'm going to show you. So when people say you can't coach these kids hard, I don't believe that. I think you just have to coach them the right way. And if they know if you're coming from a good place, you can coach them that way.
Jay, I've always heard it said rules without relationship lead to rebellion. Rules without relationship lead to rebellion. You can tell he had some rules there, but there was a relationship. So he didn't rebel. He says, I'm going to see what he's going to say to me. I'm going to take it in. I'm going to take this. And I'm going to say this. Mickey did something I hadn't seen I don't know how long. He called a whole team huddle on the sideline on Saturday. Everybody got in there. And when you start establishing that, they start seeing it. They start not just with your words, they start seeing it with your actions.
Yep.
And that's huge right there, man.
You know what? I'm going to say this point, then we're going to go to break real quick. You know, I saw Mike Norvell do it when he first started down at Florida State, when he came from Memphis. And I was like, man, this looks kind of gimmicky, right? And I saw PJ Fleck do it.
Right.
Kind of, and he did it, you know, and it's obviously worked out well for him. I was like, Mike, well, why is he doing that? Why is he doing that before every time they go into halftime? What he's doing is getting everybody's attention.
Yeah.
We're coming in as a team. We're resetting your mindset, and we're delivering the message to make sure we're staying focused on the task at hand. And sometimes it's encouragement. Sometimes it's bringing them to task, or sometimes keeping them in check on how we're about to do. And I'm sure it's something that they do during practice as well. So it's something that where those little things lead to big results. Now, is it right away? No, but when you're trying to reestablish a true identity, foundation, characteristics of what you're looking for as a player, you need it out of your coaches as well.
That's right.
And you know, generally you say that players embody their coaches, generally so, within reason. You know, and so when Coach Osborne used to always ask us questions, we'd always be very kind of blah, blah, you know, kind of very, you know, monotone voice. Well, who did we watch all the time? Who did we watch, AD, when, you know, 95 probably drove Coach Osborne, and I bet you Coach Nancy would tell you Coach Osborne didn't sleep 9 months. Where 95 team was driving that man crazy. But guess what? Not once did he not look the storm of adversity in the eye. And I'm going to say this before. This is one of the things that stuck with me the most about Coach Osborne, what he talked about adversity. He said anybody can be a leader when it's easier, when you're winning. He said a true leader is going to take his team into the eye of the storm and not blink twice and not worry about the results.
That's right.
Because he's going to be right there with
He's going to be right there.
I never forgot that, man.
No.
And so
and he's going first.
Right.
He's
going in first. They come on with me. This is how we're going to do it. So you know, look, you know, we got to I always say this, when we get on the air, it goes by too quick. We're going into a break now. Nate's going to give us time to pay a little bills.
I got three more words for you too to expound on. So
we're going to get in. We got two more segments. So we're going to go to break quick, and we're going to be back in about 5 minutes.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with DP and J on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Your friends at Koppel Insurance Agency reminds everyone the back-to-school season is meant to be a fun time for our kids. Please make it a safe one. Slow down through school zones and never go around a stop school bus. This message has been brought to you by Koppel Insurance Agency. If you're looking for insurance, call 402-475-3213. They are honest and fair. For a solid insurance program to meet your every need, seek Koppel Insurance Agency. They're wishing all of our children a safe and successful school year.
The dog days of summer are here. Is your yard in need of a touch-up as we head into the fall season? August, September, and October are the months for aeration, and Penner Sprinkler and Lawn is the place to call to get the job done right. If you're noticing any issues with your sprinkler system through the hot summer months, they're always a call away, and they're already scheduling installs for sprinkler systems for next year and all other lawn care needs. Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn today at 402-413-1215.
You're getting lots of steps in this fall between going to football and volleyball games. Are your shoes getting worn out? For the rest of September, when you stop by Brown Shoe Fit, you can take an additional 20% off the men's clearance rack sale price. The clearance rack has your favorite brands like Brooks, New Balance, Clarks, and more. Hurry in for the best selection in your size. The sale ends September 30th, so hurry in now for 20% off all shoes on the men's clearance rack at Brown Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
Please enjoy these next few moments of relaxation, from Scott and Greg at Mendoza Family Insurance. If you would like to feel this relaxed about your home, auto, business, life, or commercial property insurance, please give Scott or Greg a call today at Mendoza Family Insurance.
Chances are you've tried fruitcake before. Chances are it looked pretty weird. Lots of colors that don't really exist in nature. Chances are it tasted weird. Chances are you need to try fruitcake again. Grandma's fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. None of that weird stuff you didn't like, just real fruit, premium nuts, and the delicious flavor combination of brandy, bourbon, and rum to meld all that together. See for yourself. Grandma's fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
It's tailgate season. Why would you bounce around from place to place for all your beverage needs when you could have it all in one place? Wine, Beer, and Spirits has everything for your parties with their 3 locations in Lincoln, Grand Island, and Omaha. It's the largest liquor store in the state, and here's the best part. You can get a drink from their bar and walk around with it as you shop for all your tailgate necessities. Locally owned and operated, it's Wine, Beer, and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
College football in Lincoln, America. The time has come. Start your game day off right with the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the ticket crew live from Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket as they bring you all the coverage you need to get you ready for the action. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Brought to you by A1 Automotive, Mullen Motors, Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits, Bauer Underground, Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group, and Ritchie Brothers.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben Sandwich or the Prime Rib French Dip or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back to old school with DP and J.
We are back with old school DP and J and AD live from Tanner's Bar and Grill, 30th and Yankee Hill. We are dub grubbing on some wings, onion rings. They have delicious burgers and Tanner lips out here. Old school is sponsored by the Mercado, located or by Certified Piedmontese Beef, located at 84th and Havelock. And it's funny.
I just got steaks from there yesterday for the first
Yeah,
time.
it's good. That Certified Piedmontese is for real.
Goodness, man.
No joke.
We cooked that joker. I was like, man, I literally ate it for dinner last night.
All right. I had some for breakfast.
I almost thought about putting some in my omelet.
Yeah.
Then I had a little snack of it last night about 11 because I couldn't, I was up. So I'm like, I'm going to eat some more. Ate it for lunch again today. This thing was like 22 ounces, man. It was massive. And I got one of them tomahawk chops too.
Yeah.
That was
AD like Uncle Buck trying to get the 96 or 69 or whatever. Uncle AD, he Uncle AD trying to get the 96er out there, man. But it's funny. We had a listener come up and he was asking us about coaches, and then I don't know if that was him that just texted in. It says it's Urban Meyer or bust. Nebraska's last chance to be relevant, which I don't agree with at all. I think right now, part of the reason why we've kind of been in trouble a little bit is because we get too focused or fixated on the name and not the coach. And then if it doesn't match up, it's no different when, even, Coach Holberg, made a little bit of a mistake that he had to go and refocus on how they're going to recruit their players and looking for who fits in. He probably got that from when they played Creighton this year. Versus going out and just accumulating a bunch of good individual players and throwing them out there. Now, how that affect the coaching, the coach that I can guarantee you, sometimes the coach that you hire isn't the one you fire.
Right. That's
and
right.
sometimes it doesn't work. And there's nothing wrong. It didn't work out, and that's obviously, it's either angered people and then obviously just more disappointment, sad or whatever you want to say it. But at the end of the day, it was the right hire at that point in time.
Right.
It didn't work out, so now we have to make sure we learn from what happened and learn from what happened prior,
right,
both positive and negative,
yep,
and then make the best hire we can for this time being. And we have to make sure we have to hire that's going to be with us long term, but we still don't have time to waste. That's a hard thing to do because if you want a coach that that he has some time, but time doesn't mean you take that time. That means every game that we have a chance to win, we need to do everything we can to win those games, because the difference between athletes, or one of the difference between athletes now and athletes when we played, I like to think I learned a lot more out from adversity or maybe losing.
Yes. Which
because
we
I
did.
Because I hated losing more than I like winning.
Exactly.
Now I won 3 national championships, but the games when what I think about the most when I'm driving? Texas game, Arizona State game, games that we didn't win. Whereas kids these days, you get 100% of their attention by success and winning. And then also I think we need to have a clear message to the kids from the top down. What is success? What is good versus what is not acceptable?
Right.
Because I think we fell into a little bit of a trap from last year's team being 3-9. All these
one-point losses.
One score
losses. Yeah.
And so that was deemed as a successful season. We were the best 3-9 team or best, 9-loss team ever. Well, that's not a badge of honor. You're a first place loser 9 times over.
Right.
That means you've been the same thing over. That means you ain't never got no better. You're doing the same thing
every week.
Yet so close, yet so far. So close, but yet so far. So I think that's going to help. But I think also this isn't time to turn the page on 2022.
No,
there's a ton of football to be played. Good opportunity with teams that you can beat, and then go out there and beat them. It shouldn't be. Yes, it's a little bit of a change in turmoil when you lose your coach. I mean, that's obvious. Nobody's out here oblivious to that. But at the same time, a lot of people were calling for the coach to be removed. So once the coach is removed, then your expectations can't change in theory, because the opportunity is there because you have 8 games. Now, that doesn't mean, obviously things change because of the way they've played and maybe things haven't gelled. But I think this bye week came at a perfect time for them to kind of maybe reset. If I was in there, I'd say, okay, look, man, we're 1-3. Yeah, we know where we're at, but we starting this season right now. It's kind of like, playing a bad half of football.
Yeah.
Okay, well, sometimes, even when I coach basketball, sometimes we, like making up 20-point game or, 16-point game with a 20-minute running clock, just not realistic. But let's win this half.
But you still have to speak. You still have to, like you do as a good coach. And you still speak truth. You speak life to them. You say, you know what?
Well, we're going to go.
We're not going to do the whole 16 in one half. But you know what? If we get 1 stop, we get 2 stops for their 1. 2, we keep doing that.
Let's have a goal.
We fight ourselves back into this game.
I always say the same way you got up by 20, or needs to be the same. Same way you're able to dig your way out of 20. The same way you need to play when you're up by 20.
Absolutely.
So if you have a goal from this point on, and you reach that goal, I can guarantee if you play up to your expectations in these next 8 weeks, you're going to look back on the first 4 weeks and kind of chuckle.
Absolutely.
Like, man, we came a lot, really far. Then you probably most likely be at a bowl game. So, it's a tremendous opportunity for this team and this fan base to rally together. This isn't time to turn the page and worry, so-and-so, 80 million names are going to be floated out there.
Oh, you're going to hear all of them.
And I wish somebody would track all the names.
Oh, yeah.
And see who actually gets to, we probably would never know who actually sits down with the powers that be. But I'd like to see, a name list and see who actually gets hired. Because
we have to keep track of the station, how many names we hear, quote unquote, via social media, who's going to be in there.
Right. Yeah. It's an appealing job. I think the biggest thing, and I wanted to ask you this because you do a lot of leadership talks and stuff like that. And I'm going to tell you one of the main things that I would look for is somebody that embraces the pressure.
Yes. Yes.
Because the pressure is going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's always was weird to me that people were like, oh, this is pressure. Well, you're the highest paid state employee.
Right.
So what do you think comes with that?
Absolutely.
You think you become the highest paid state employee without expectations? So you want somebody to embrace that, because what that will do, that'll just trickle right down.
Absolutely.
And there won't be no deviating from what we expect. but then also it'll let me know that they will be able to pivot if they need to, or adjust on the fly because the goal is at hand.
Absolutely.
What are a couple of things you'd be looking for?
One of the things I'm looking for, and Jim, I'll bring back to you because I want to make sure I get through these because you're bringing out so much wisdom. The thing about in leadership positions, those in high profile and performance positions, I always believed is this: champions adjust,
right?
And pressure is a privilege.
Yeah.
I don't want someone looking at pressure like, oh, I don't want to deal with it. Well, you're not our person then.
Right.
I want someone to embrace pressure and say, you know what? Pressure is a privilege. If there's no pressure, you probably ain't winning.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Right.
And the reality is this: we get to choose our difficulty. Losing is hard.
Right.
It's difficult.
Right.
Winning is difficult. I would much rather have the difficulty of winning
right.
and being successful than the difficulty of being a loser.
Right.
Because reality is this: that old adage when you hear when you've heard it back in the day. I know you didn't coach like this. I didn't coach like this. Weren't coached like this. Oh, it doesn't matter if you're it doesn't matter if you win or lose. Are you having fun? What?
Yeah.
I've never got my butt kicked and was like, that was a good time. Let's go do it again. No, you play, like my man said, you play to win the game.
Right.
So when I'm looking for a coach, I don't want him to tell me, yeah, I can do it. No, I want to see a body of work.
Yeah.
Tell me when you've dealt with pressure.
Right.
I want to see it on tape.
Right.
Because the people that think that this job, Nebraska job is just not as, it's not as just as one anymore. Jay, you nailed it. Man, 20,000 people, give or take, went across the ocean to go watch a game.
Right.
For a team that hadn't won in 5 years.
5 years, right.
The stadium had 80,000 plus on Saturday. All right. Even when people say, well, the sellout streak so far is there's only 70. We're still talking about 70,000 people.
You start winning games, they're going to be 100,000 people and people standing outside.
Standing outside. No matter where I travel, Jay, I know you're the same way. I heard it in Miami a week and a half ago when I was there. Washington State when I was down in Dallas, heard it from there. People like, man, football is just better when Nebraska's good. Right. That N is still a very strong brand. It's still like a GE. It's still a Microsoft. It's still an Apple. We just got to get the right person to come in and take care of it. But I'm looking for a coach, Jay, that embraces pressure, that realizes that pressure is a privilege. And if you can't deal with pressure, this is not the place for you.
Right.
And I'm not going to have them tell me. Show me.
Right.
Give me examples. When this happens, what are you going to do?
Right.
And tell me a time when you've done it. I want examples.
Right.
I want
examples, and then I want you to continue to do it.
Exactly.
Because sometimes when you get paid, you can kind of changes you.
Oh, yeah.
And then
the real person comes out.
Right. And then if you can't check yourself or have people around you check you, then you end up, going down a black hole.
See, you went to the next point. We talked about leading through adversity. We talked about acknowledging where you're at, assessing where you're at. The next point I brought up here, Jay, leading through adversity, you got to seek wisdom and counsel.
Right.
And in order to do that, you have to humble yourself, though.
Right.
You got to be humble to say, you know what? Sometimes we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
You think about when Coach Osborne began to recruit differently a little bit because we're running that 5-2, shades of a 4-3 at times. But we had linebackers that were good linebackers. But then when we play the Miami schools, Florida schools, we'd have a guy matched up to run a 4-6 and this guy run a 4-2.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
Right.
All right. Coach Osborne started making those shifts with guys like yourself, Grant Wistrom. You look at the linebackers. You started. Ed Stewart's probably the greatest example.
Yep.
In fact, Ed Stewart told him, "Right, I'm transferring in. You're not moving me to linebacker."
Right.
He came in as a strong safety.
Yeah.
Left here, All-American Hall of Famer.
Yeah, won the Buckets.
Won the Buckets Award because they started making shifts and changes. Because Coach and Coach Bowden, rest his soul, from Florida State, they were talking about what's the best ways to scheme this thing. Then they started making changes. Coach Osborne realized, I don't know everything. Seek wisdom and counsel and insight. Jay, how do you think that helps with you and how that helped you stay in the pros as long as you did? And how it's going to help this new coach, Mickey Joseph, by seeking wisdom and being humble?
I think it's huge because, one of the things I used to do, like if I was, mainly in the NFL, if I was ever struggling, if I wasn't playing well, I'd talk to my mom. What do you think? My mom keeps it real than anybody.
Right.
Non-biased,
sugarcoat it.
Right. Doesn't know much about football, isn't invested, as far as telling me something. And it'd be something that she would always see or tell me from her line of work that I could take to when I, have to get back and get started.
Right.
And it's always, that's the number one thing. Number two, I always think that the people that really are successful in the coaching business don't always talk to people that think or look like them.
That's right.
Because you get a different perspective,
right?
And as long as you respect it, it's gonna help you become smarter and a better coach, and quite frankly, a better person. Because what you see, sometimes you can get invested in it, and once what you see, and you kind of hope it always turns around, is not really what's going on,
right?
And sometimes you can get a read on a player, because you're looking at the player from a different lens or a situation from a different lens that could lead to a light bulb going off for a coach or a way to lead. Because if you keep, kind of, I call it like the, ping pong without it ever going out of bounds, where you just sit there and the ball's just bouncing around.
Right.
Well, nobody wins a point. Then you keep doing the same thing. You get passed by. So
it's a great analogy.
I think it's just one of those to expand yourself.
Yeah.
It's huge because the game changes. It's no different than, Coach Osborne in 96, 97 went a little bit more shotgun, a little bit more passing and throw guys off. We talked about Nick Saban off or in between breaks to where, he was pretty much line up and run, controlled passing game, throw it 10 to 12 times. Well, Lane Kiffin came in, taught him a little bit of the spread. They did a little bit of that, and they won with different types of quarterbacks.
And like you mentioned right there, Lane Kiffin came in.
Right.
Now think about what you just said. Kiffin came in to help Saban. The man got 6 championships at that point already.
Right.
But he was humble enough.
And because he couldn't, he needed somebody. He went and got an expert in something to add to what he's doing. He's not taking away from what you do.
Right.
He's adding to it. Then you had Sarkisian came in, and he brought kind of like the USC vertical passing game, kind of a little bit of that. Now he has Bill O'Brien. So every coach that he surrounded himself with, they say it's a Nick Saban rehab clinic, and they all get, then they're better head coaches for. But he's learning just as much.
It's not just one-sided. It's symbiotic. They're learning from each other.
So that's it. It's a partnership.
Right.
And so, if I was a coach, I would for real do that here, because there's a wealth of knowledge that could help you be successful quicker than anywhere else. It's kind of like I watched the 30 for 30 about the U. And one of the things is they showed all the former players actively at practices and meetings and helping out these players. Not that they want any credit. They want you to be successful like them.
The love for the U.
And the love for the university.
Right.
That's it. I was telling somebody earlier, is like my biggest goal is for this team to be spent like we were after 94 and 95 after national championship game. Now, we wore jock straps back then, and then like a little sweaty, body withered.
Right.
But, man, we were hugging and loving on each other because we just went through it and accomplished a goal that we set up together.
Right.
And that's a bond. Everybody's like, why are you guys so tight? That's why it is. You call somebody, we'll be there.
Yep.
So once these guys get it, then they'll understand these are guys you can call them the rest of your life, and you win championships.
Absolutely.
And also they're a little bit more of a advantageous position than us. It's not championship or bust around here. This is just play good football.
Absolutely.
Hey, we were doing that just in practice.
Right.
So these guys have it a lot easier, but you know what you need to do. The hard thing is getting everybody to
on
do
board
more than one day. And then once they start doing it, how do you deal with success? So those are the two things that I think that they need to kind of rehab. But I think it's something that they can really make headways on in the next 8 weeks. And, I'm looking forward to see what they're doing. I mean, I know, they're getting back to basics. Practice is going to be a little bit more football related and physical. It's going to do nothing but get them better.
Right.
Don't fight it. And you know what, AD, I'll say this before we go to break. When I started as a redshirt freshman, and I was splitting time, and then I remember when they had called me. I think we just got off and got one national championship, got back January 3rd or 4th. We didn't get no break. So I remember they were talking about I'm going in the middle linebacker and I got to possibly split time. You know what the first thing what my first reaction was?
I'm out.
I was 2 days, 48 hours from transferring to Michigan. One of my high school teammates was up there and I already been talking to him. And then you know what my dad says? I'm not going to let you do that because, and I was like, why? And then later we talked about it in depth. He's like, you go up there, there's going to be competition there. You're there, compete. Ain't nobody better than you. They got to take it from you. Wow. And the thing that I learned from that competition was embracing the competition.
That's right.
So I was so laser focused that I was going to show you. Because also another thing this team needs to do, if you really believe it, you don't need to prove anybody wrong. Prove yourself right.
Prove yourself right.
That's it. Prove yourself right. These are a lot of lessons that these guys need to learn that they will be accepting to. They just got to be exposed to it. So we are going into one of our last breaks here. We'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes. This is Old School with Jay and AD live from Tanner's Bar and Grill, 30th and Yankee Hill.
You're listening to Old School with DP and J. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Your friends at Koppel Insurance Agency reminds everyone the back-to-school season is meant to be a fun time for our kids. Please make it a safe one. Slow down through school zones and never go around a stop school bus. This message has been brought to you by Koppel Insurance Agency. If you're looking for insurance, Call 402-475-3213. They are honest and fair. For a solid insurance program to meet your every need, see Koppel Insurance Agency. They're wishing all of our children a safe and successful school year.
If you need to sell equipment and trucks, Ritchie Brothers' new Lincoln Satellite Yard lets you free up space at your property and get local access to all Ritchie Brothers auctions. Drop your equipment off and sell it online at any Ritchie Brothers auction, Iron Planet, or via Marketplace E. The yard is at 8801 US 6 Lincoln. It's secure and makes for easy in-person buyer inspections and pickup. Take advantage of this yard to sell at Ritchie Brothers Great Plains Regional Auction, September 15th and 16th. For details, visit rbauction.com/Lincoln.
Tractor Supply is looking for full-time team members for their Waverly Distribution Center. Applicants can expect a 3- and 4-day work week schedule with additional overtime days with both day and night shift schedules available. Stand-up forklift and high-reach forklift experience is a plus for open positions, but they're willing to train for those without experience. At Tractor Supply, they work hard, have fun, and make money. Apply today at tractorsupply.jobs.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
It's tailgate season. Why would you bounce around from place to place for all your beverage needs when you could have it all in one place? Wine, Beer, and Spirits has everything for your parties with their 3 locations in Lincoln, Grand Island, and Omaha. It's the largest liquor store in the state, and here's the best part. You can get a drink from their bar and walk around with it as you shop for all your tailgate necessities. Locally owned and operated, it's Wine, Beer, and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Hello, everybody. I'm Charlie Stone, and joining me in just a moment is Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. But before I bring Andy on, I need to tell you about something that really got my attention. Just the other day, I saw on television Andy announcing that in the last 50 years, they had sold and serviced close to 100,000 vehicles.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, actually, the number would be a lot higher if we add in how many repeat customers we have for service and that come back to buy cars from us over and over and over again.
Now, Andy, tell everybody about your special offer.
Well, as most people know, always trade for vehicles, but now we're offering for people to come in and sell us their cars. We're ready to buy, bring it on in, whether it's a year old or a few years old, and we'll pay them cash that same day. It'll be hassle-free, and we'll do it the Honda of Lincoln way.
Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of buying cars, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
This is Dan Friedman. Between 2010 and 2019, distracted driving caused more than 40,000 car crashes in Nebraska, resulting in over 14,000 severe injuries and deaths. Please keep your eyes on the road. If you have a smartphone, put it away while you're behind the wheel. It will help keep our community safe and secure. This message is brought to you by Friedman Law Offices, helping injured people. It's what we do. It's all we do. Find us at friedmanlaw.com today.
Back to old school with DP and J on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
From Tanner's Bar and Grill, 30th and Yankee Hill. We are grubbing on some wings. They have delicious burgers, Tanner's Lips, and much, much more. I'm here with AD sitting in for DP, and we're talking about leadership within the locker room. But I wanted to ask you, AD, just because you're from an offensive standpoint, who was one or two guys when you came in that kind of took you under their wing and helped you kind of make an adjustment coming from high school, then obviously in the college?
Abdul Muhammad, Corey Dixon, Tremaine Bell, Vincent Hawkins that played here as well. All those guys taught us young guys coming out of high school, because in high school you just get off the line, run by a guy.
Right.
Well, there was a guy named Toby Wright. Also,
yeah,
because Toby came from the JUCO.
Yeah.
And Kareem Moss. And, the JUCOs came in early with us freshmen.
Right.
And it was me, Riley Washington. Riley Washington ran the 100 meters in the fastest 100 meters in the nation.
Right.
That don't mean nothing at the D1 ball.
Right.
That's fine. You can run, but can you get a line of scrimmage? All the things you did in high school, you couldn't do those things. So those guys, like I said, Corey, Abdul, Tremaine Bell, Vincent Hawkins, Tyrone Hughes,
right.
All those guys, but they didn't get there till later.
Right.
So they taught us how to get off the line of scrimmage. Coach Brown did his best, but you had older guys that, like you mentioned earlier today, that taught us the Nebraska way to do things. Because how you do some things is how you do everything.
Right.
So like you mentioned earlier, you're looking at a guy for those adjustments. How are you going to practice?
Right.
How are you going to run your routes? Are you going to run it hard only when you're getting the ball?
Right.
Or are you going to run it when it's away from you, place other side of the ball as well? So how you do some things, how you do everything, and those guys taught us that, man.
Right.
So those things went a long way.
And what was one of the unique qualities maybe you saw in either Coach Brown, I guess even Coach Solich or Coach Osborne, that kind of where you kind of like the day? I remember, like I talked about the story, but about him talking about leadership. What was it for you? Were you like, yeah, this dude's the real deal?
The thing with Coach Osborne, and it was different for me from a lot of guys because I'd known Coach since I was about 10 years old. So I'd seen him, some speeches in the locker room as a kid when I was picking up towels and things like that. The thing about Coach Osborne, the most consistent man I've ever met.
Right.
Like I said, besides my father, the most influential man in my life. He was the most consistent man. You can count on it.
Right.
I mean the little things. And because he was so consistent, if it wasn't done right, you're going to run it again.
Right.
There were times we'd be practicing the option, and me being one of the low strings, the scout team guys, but we'd come up because we had 4 stations. Those 4 stations, everybody got reps. There was no standing around in practice. If your route was off just by maybe even half a yard, he goes, against a good team, that half a yard is going to cost interception.
Right.
So how he did everything is how he did some things, how he did everything.
Yeah.
So he's the most consistent man I've ever been around. And so that rubbed off on us.
Right.
If it wasn't done the right way, we'd get on each other.
Right.
So that was the thing and Coach Brown the same way.
Yeah.
That was the same way. Those guys were just extremely consistent and intense.
Yeah.
Coach Osborne may not say a lot, but when he said it,
he meant
he
was
meant
like
it.
E.F. Hutton. When he spoke, everybody listened. You talk about consistency. Coach Osborne will be running around that field,
that track after practice
at like 2 miles an hour.
Yep.
Every day, rain, sleet, or snow.
Didn't matter.
You talking about you talk about seeing your coach run, keep himself in shape, and whether you want to go in the locker room or not.
Yeah.
He's showing you. So
he's showing you. Exactly. He showed us.
Right. The common, I think, theme is we talked about Brett Venables, against Oklahoma, where you need out of coaching right now to get the team better, more hands-on. And it's one of the things that where, some coaches don't like the coach in the moment, but I think the moment is always the right moment because whether you're
powerful.
Putting your arm around them, or, trying to, help them play better or kind of getting on them, at the end of the day, doing it right then is going to make an impact.
That's
because if you wait too long, it loses it
Yeah.
loses the effect. And
Yep.
so
Yep.
I think Coach Osborne, all the coaches, that are successful throughout the nation have their own way of doing it.
Right.
But they're just doing it, for the right reasons.
Right.
And so I think that's one of the things that the players also need to do among themselves is understand leadership isn't always yelling to, hey, AD, I need you to, run this extra gas or whatever, or be in there, to discipline and accountability or anything like that, just in case you're late to a class or something. It needs to be more breaking bread.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Spending time with each other. I
Absolutely.
would really encourage these guys to get together. Just have fun. Get together.
Absolutely.
Order some wings. I'm sure they got NIL deals or whatever. Hang out at somebody's house, the garage, build some camaraderie. Because you got to think.
And we did that a lot.
Right. Whether we were hanging on we always found out if it was 4 to 6 of us, we found out with another 4 to 6 of us.
Right.
And then we know Grant and Jason were here. We'd end up being 20, 30
25,
guys
30 deep.
every time we went places. And then make sure then when we showed up places, we always would leave together.
Yep.
And we never left anybody
No,
behind. And
never.
those are the things that I would really encourage these guys to do and not to think short term.
Right.
Don't do it for a week and think you're going to win 3
Right.
games.
Right.
Do it because it's the right thing to do, and then you actually start to enjoy each other and know each other and play for each other.
Absolutely.
And then I think that's what will really take them to. Then they'll start to really see things take off. And I think that this week, in closing, is a good week for. Obviously, you had another shock, with Eric Shenander being let go.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good week to kind of rehab,
right,
reset, refocus.
EC he's a good dude, man.
He's
a great dude. Great guy, man. Great guy.
And I feel bad in a sense for him that some of the plays by the players out there didn't do him justice.
Right.
That's what
I
makes
totally
me
agree.
Because when you have a coach that actually cares about you,
yes,
and you could tell Eric cared about his players.
Did. Yes, he did.
You can get mad about his schemes or whatever, but you got a coach that cares about you, truly does.
Yep.
You would think you'd go the extra mile.
Absolutely.
And that's what's probably most disappointing for me.
If Coach Samuel walked in this place right now and said, "Jay, I got a problem," you would put this headset down right now.
Not even a question.
Yep. Mark, you got to take over the show.
Right.
Sorry.
Not even a question.
Coach,
I'm leaving.
Coach Brown coming in right now. AD, Jay's been real. I'm out.
Yeah,
It's
sight
just-
unseen.
Yep,
I'm gone.
I'm out.
So I think once they can get, and I think they can do it. If I thought it was, a dead end, I would certainly say so. But in closing, I think there's plenty of time. But time waits for no man.
That's right.
And time starts next week against Indiana. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do. I think they've done the things they need to do to make improvement. Obviously from Oklahoma, which I think was part Oklahoma, a big part Oklahoma, a big part of us. So in closing, thank you, AD.
Oh,
for stepping
Jay,
in
it's
for,
been a
for
pleasure,
DP.
man.
We do
Absolutely.
it every time on Mondays. Thanks everybody for listening. We are out of here. 2 hours ain't long enough, man.
Goes too quick, brother.
Especially
Goes
when you
too
eat
quick.
wings.
Yeah.
Hey, when you eat wings, time just flies.
And then again, it might be good because we went 3 hours.
Right,
I'd
we
be
gonna
waiting
get-
about
right.
2:55.
Right.
I'm like,
Hey, and them eyes get that itis.
That's itis.
That itis. It's usually when you eat turkey, but that itis will jump on you, man. Thanks again. We'll be back old school tomorrow, man. You guys be safe. That itis.